Hello all newcomers and welcome back fellow Aeternians. As always, my name is Emperor AP and today we are talking about states. Specifically, I have some bad news. We have lost the territory of New Maryland. Unfortunately, New Maryland has dissolved as a territory. The last time that we talked to you about it was its introduction into the Empire of Aeternia and its introduction onto the world stage. I was really excited about this enterprise and I felt that my partnership with Minister Hadaway was going to be great and was going to bring his state as well as our empire into the future. Unfortunately, that did not happen and the Ministry of New Maryland had to be dissolved. We're today going to talk about why that is, how this process happened, how New Maryland was formed, and ultimately what we can learn from experiences like this. Because, as you all know, we want to provide you with information on this channel. We want to be transparent, and when there is something that goes wrong for us, when there's something that doesn't work, we want to address it outright, and we want it to be a learning experience for us as a nation trying to grow in what we can do better, but as well for you all so that you don't make the same pitfalls and same mistakes that we might have going through this process. So specifically today we're going to talk about why things didn't work out with New Maryland. And ultimately, this is something that's a little bit confusing because I was aware of this, made aware of it, through a message over Discord. I was contacted by the Minister of New Maryland and asked, essentially given his resignation. It was something that came as a surprise, but that I also understood the circumstances being that they may, that it's the property that he was using in his territory, that meant that the state would be dissolved. It's a hard blow because it is a risk to try and create a new territory for your nation, to announce it, and to try to extend that hand of friendship to a territory, to bring them in as a part of your larger empire. It's a hard thing to do because it really means you have to put your trust in somebody. And sometimes that trust is misplaced. And in order to grow as a nation, in order to continue on into what we need to do, we have to understand why this didn't work and what we can do in trying to create future territories and future states in order to make sure that they last a little bit longer and have mutual benefit for both parties. As of right now, we cannot stop looking for new states, new territories, because when you get a setback as a nation, you cannot simply stop. You can't say, that's it, we've lost, we tried, we exhausted all our resources, and now we're done, and we've fallen off the face of the planet. You can't do that because taking time to craft a nation, trying to develop something that is in essence a reflection of who you are as a person, a reflection of what you want to see the world become, you can't stop because you have simply run out of resources. That is something that we need to talk about. You absolutely should not run out of resources. If you do run out of resources, you'll have to stop, is what I should have said. But ultimately, you cannot act as if you have completely gone bankrupt because one venture that you've tried, one attempt at growth failed. You have to keep persevering through that. In our Micronational economics series, I'd love to talk about how you do budget for these ventures and for trying to find ways to grow your nation, how you budget for those things, how you plan that out, and what to do to make sure that even if those things do become losses, that you have planned and accounted for those losses in the ultimate growth and development of your treasury so that you don't become bankrupt, so that you don't have to quit trying new ventures and investing in the future of your nation. That investment takes time, it's difficult, and it takes a lot of preparation and understanding. And sometimes, like we're seeing today, that fails. Sometimes you have to take a loss. Just take the L and move on. So that's what we're doing. We are trying to talk to you today about why that happened. And ultimately, I think for us, it was a lack of preparation. Now, what does that mean for a micronation and a ministry or a territory that's being founded under that nation? Ultimately, that comes down to the leader of the territory. The leader of the territory needs to be able to have some clear and defined goals for what they want to do and how they plan to grow that territory. Now, the territory being a part of a micronation absolutely needs to be able to contribute to that. And I hope to start a series specifically on leadership and how leaderships at different levels in micronations should interact with each other and things like that, but that's maybe a different time. For this, I want to talk about that micronations have to find ways to create profit and to grow their economy. In order to do that, you have to partner with people who are capable and who are able to achieve the things that ultimately need to be achieved in order to continue the growth of your nation. If you have a resource which isn't helping you but is in fact hurting you, it's not a good resource to have, and the relationship in that sense won't work out. What you ultimately need is a group, a territory that you have under your control that says, hey, we want to gain more money. We need you as a larger micronation to support us as a territory and make us more wealthy. Our increase in wealth means an increase in production, which means more wealth for you. The wealth that you can supply us initially to get started is a lot higher than what we would be able to make on our own. So it's beneficial for a territory to go to a micronation and ask for that help, and it's beneficial for the micronation as well to give that help because it is growing its nation, and it's ultimately building an ally within that territory. That territory then says, we have been taken under their wing, we have been provided for, we have been able to flourish under their economy, and now we are able to give back to them, and that cycle can be completed over and over again as both the territory and the micronation grow. The problem becomes when there isn't a clear, defined goal set, when there isn't specific agreements that are met between the leader of the territory and the leader of the micronation, or the government of the micronation. It ultimately has to be a partnership. It has to be understood that the micronation must come first, both for the territory and for the micronation, that the leader of the territory is given their rank, their title, and their authority based on the authority of the micronation. But that being the case, that leader must be capable in their own right of generating wealth, of being capable of organizing their people and using their resources in order to grow and gain wealth for that empire, for that nation. And that micronation then in turn should be able to afford to fuel that territory so that it can become a producer for the micronation. That's how micronations grow, that's how we develop, that's how we're going to be able to get into larger and larger status levels effectively within the world. That's how we're going to be able to be considered larger contenders on the world stage, and that's why I'm personally so excited about micronationalism. I know the way that it can grow. I've seen the people who are in it, and I know that some of you are very, very dedicated and very interested in the idea of legitimately starting your own nation. So that being the case, I'm not necessarily here to tell you how to do it. You probably won't agree with all of my methods, but I am telling you what the things that I have seen are and how I plan to go about that. That being, as you've seen on this channel if you've watched it, non-violently. That means with the idea of economy and culture and a unitary mindset in place, trying to develop something that is an ideal and an identity within people that they can then share amongst others. I hope that building that and creating that can teach me a lot that I can spread to you all, and this is the prime example of that. As we move forward with the Empire of Aeternia, I hope that you all will continue to support us as we move on to our 1,000 subscribers. That's a way that we're going to be able to make money. That's a way that we're talking about to grow our economy. And ultimately, we're going to use that to put into our territories and into our states. So if you're interested in becoming a state or a territory in the Empire, I definitely advise you to contact us. But in the meantime, the biggest and most important thing to remember is to keep trying. When things like this don't work out, I know that's all right, because we're going to hit that 1,000 subscriber mark, because we do have many allies. We are growing our communication with other micronations, and ultimately we're going to have a lot of exciting projects lined up. So whenever we get that money in, we're going to be able to provide that for the people who have assisted us and who want to grow. And we will know next time what to do and what not to. it ultimately comes down to preparation, and it ultimately comes down to what each party can give each other. Those are the main things to look out for. When you want to become the leader of a territory or a state, you will be entrusted with that territory and that state by that micronation. So you have to have a plan, and you have to be the person to get things done. That being the case, the micronation can't slack off either. You should expect as a territory that they provide something to you that enriches you, that allows you to start producing more than you could have on your own. And that's the exciting thing about micronationalism. That's the thing that will allow us to create building blocks for our growth and ultimate success, is starting here. Finding others who are like-minded, who want to achieve similar goals, and uniting together under some common flag to say, hey, this is what we're going to do, these are everybody's roles, and we are going to get this done. I hope you all will join me in that process and in growing that today and every day with the Empire of Aeternia. Thank you all so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.